don't be afraid to fail. That's, again, we were talking about before of failing is only a negative if you allow it to be. There's so many lessons to learn.
You told us earlier,
Yeah.
situation where you wanted to go in and you wanted to build a good relationship with these people, and you walk in and there's somebody that that's in your line of work, and he already has the account, so you're not going to step on his toes, but you went and did a bunch of work for it and bought some sandwiches and did some of the prospecting things that we have to do sometimes, and you learned. You thought like, hey, maybe I should have a backup plan if I go out and I'm spending this money and spending this time and energy.
Yeah.
We learn from all of our failures.
That's it, and not just learn from them, but learn to not to repeat that. Don't make the same mistake twice. And if you do, make sure you fucking learn it the second time.
Dude, we all have the best time ever to start a small business.
If I'm not going to be 100% in, I'm not going to do it.
Come on, man, just be yourself.
Yeah,
and just show up as yourself.
If you don't realize what I'm really about, I'm about freedom, family, and my country.
Justin, welcome.
Thank you. Appreciate being here.
Thank you for coming. When I meet people that come into the pit, I try to be open-minded and say, hey, this person's coming in here with the right intentions, and, they're here to learn, they're here to grow relationships, build rapport, and be kind of somebody who's a part of this tribe that's all helping each other grow our businesses and learn from one another. And then there's some that come in and I'm like, all right, maybe this guy's just here for leads, and that's okay. Instantly, I knew you were somebody who loved America. We're a family dude. You're hustling to grow your business. You've been involved in Arte and many other groups that are out there, which has been helpful to you as well. Mm-hmm. And this show is all about people who turn around and give back. You naturally just seem like a guy who's willing to help whoever if called upon. And I like your business. I like what you're doing. I like how you're trying to break in and something unique in the decal space of NCAA football. You're working on a big football team, and as well as lacrosse. Lacrosse means a lot to you, so I'm glad to have you, dude. Welcome.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. Yeah, it's I love it. I love being here and everything the pit has to offer. It's one thing I've learned in the past few years is taking more of an approach on as being a student and really grabbing a hold of that and being a student of the game. And but to your point, giving back. There's other people starting up the same way I did, and you gotta, I don't know, they need help, or they, maybe not that they need help, but you gotta give back and let them learn from your hard mistakes, and so they're not making the same ones.
Yeah. Well, I think the basis is like of Fireside America is turning around and helping the next guy or girl in line. Mm-hmm. And I think so many of us, and again, I'm not saying I have all the freaking answers. Well, who are you up on this pedestal of this podcast for somebody who may think that on the other side of the camera, I don't know everything.
Right.
But I realized that there was a lot of people, I got a big heli coming, there was a lot of people that weren't helping in my life. Guys that I saw and thought to be very successful. And when I say very successful, my dad drove a truck. Man worked very hard and provided us a roof over our head, but we didn't have a ton. Mm-hmm. And I saw people who were making $250 and $350 and $500. I thought that was a lot of money. So coming into finance and seeing these guys that are making $500,000 plus, I'm like, damn, you could be helping more. Mm. And again, once I went and made that money, you realize it's not a lot of money either. And once you're on that perch, your view kind of changes and your viewpoints change, but it still was important to me to turn around and help. And even if you're just fielding a phone call for somebody, or just shooting some encouragement at a baseball game that you're at for your kids, or you're at a barbecue in the neighborhood and you're shooting the shit with some young kid that's launching a landscaping, like that goes a long way. Something you can give him, lending an ear, or give him a little bit of advice.
Yeah,
so.
No, absolutely. There's, in my line of work, working with the different businesses in town, there's startups all over the place, and hearing their struggles and what they're going through, it's not that it brings a smile to my face, but it's like, I was there.
Yeah.
I remember that feeling of not knowing how you're going to pay for something, how you're going to, yes, you agreed to do something for a client, but now you got to figure it out. And, it's nice to be able to kind of talk them off that ledge and give them the motivation and encouragement to keep on their path, because what they're doing is good, and they're setting up their own future and having their own freedom.
Yeah. That's
being
what
a
it's all
small
about.
part of it, even
Yeah.
if they realize in the moment or not, or if I was any help or not, it's
5
just,
years
you
from
know,
now, 10 years from now, they can come thank you.
Yeah. There
There was a guy on Chris Rizzolo. We didn't release his podcast yet. It's going to be released this week, right, owner? He talked about a similar story where he went over to this friend's house. Her father had a sick Ferrari in the driveway, and he was like drooling over it. He had been reading a ton of books on real estate. I think he was like 17, 18 at the time. And the guy throws him the keys. Sees the kid's drooling over. He's like, let's go for a ride. He's like, are you serious? He's like, yeah, let's go for a ride. He's like, we're on this back road, open it up. And he's like, I just remember like that was such inspiration to like want to have something like that. That guy impacted me so much. And then he ran into him randomly at a wedding and told him all about that. And he's very big on letting people like drive his Porsche. He's got like a GT3, whatever it is. I'm not a huge Porsche guy. I don't know the different lines.
Yeah, I got nothing.
But just stupid shit like that,
Yeah.
man. Like we can all do it, right? And it's a win-win. Right. That guy you help out, you know, and my, you know, call it selfish, but let's say all these people I bring through the pit, they all end up making another $1 million, $2 million, $3 million, $250,000, whatever it is a year. Well, now they get extra disposable income to do financial planning with, or they need some pension design, or, you know, whatever it may be. Guess what? I offer that. And that, no one's obligated to do that, but if I'm somebody that helped you get to that next level of income and that's the business I'm in, more than likely, you're going to give me an opportunity at it. Right,
Absolutely.
And I think that's where a lot of people fail to realize there's this short-term now mentality.
What you can get back in the now, and not that everything has to be a manipulated, like, long play or long-term goal, but it's, you just do right by people and everything comes back to you. And that's.
But I do think, and that may come off wrong, but I do think kind of incentivizing people like, hey, we'll come back to you, dude.
Absolutely, yeah.
And I'm not saying every single time, but it will come back to you. Maybe something you did for that young kid over there, karma, the universe, big guy upstairs, Allah, whoever the hell it is, grants you this great thing in the future.
Right.
And I'm a big proponent of that, obviously, which is why we have the pit. And even some people that come in the pit and they're out in like a month, and I'm like, you didn't give it a chance, man.
Right.
Like, show up for people and don't come in here expecting leads. You know, show up in here building relationships and learning.
That's what. Yeah, it's a big thing in the whole like networking and growing your business. There's so many lessons to be learned that not everything is going to be monetary that comes back to you. It's, you know, being in the pit. In today's call, there was, you know, I was able to share a moment, but I also learned a shit ton more that, you know, it was just.
You got instant feedback.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, even Mike, he was like, you know, and it was something I didn't even think of. He's like, you know, don't get fixated on this one potential client. Move on from it because there's thousands others, hundreds and thousands of other ones just like them out there, and go after them. I'm like, you know, all day yesterday I was like, all right, I'm gonna beat this, I'm gonna win it, and I'm gonna get it. And like that was my how.
You were so fixated.
Exactly.
And then you walked in and it was completely slammed in your face because the guy who used to work for you was there, and not that you had any hate towards him, but he was there and he obviously was selling similar products to them.
Yeah. Yeah, it was good. I mean, but to, you know, to Mike's point, it was like, it was a wake-up call to myself, and it was like the lessons from that moment haven't stopped. It was, you know, I learned things from, we want to call it a failure yesterday. I learned lessons from it, but, you know, I continue to learn from them today, and it's a big thing that I've turned over in the last.
A lot of helicopter traffic today. A lot today. It's got my senses up. Like, there's like extra helicopter traffic over. The beach is right there.
Yeah, oh, okay.
So, you know, it's Coast Guard. You always have the Guard.
Doing training this time of year or just?
I think they do a lot of training, but also it could be patrol. I mean, who knows?
Yeah.
But the Coast Guard's always running.
Okay.
But they seem like they're passing tonight. As
a little more activity than usual.
But yeah, man, you're somebody who's learning. You're going through those lessons. You're leaning on the pit. You're leaning on Arate and you know, a lot of others I'm sure you lean on in your life. You said when you left you were frustrated. Who'd you call?
My wife.
Your wife, right?
Yeah, she is my rock. She provides endless amount of support, and yeah, I'm very grateful to have her, because there is, and just like you know, we were talking about, I think last week or the week before, of endless ideas that flow through our mind, and there's someone that keeps us in check, and it's like, hey, let's finish this one thing first, and then
we chase everything.
That's
well,
right.
Danielle, I hear great things about you. I hear great things.
She is.
And my wife is the best too. Sometimes I'm a lot to handle. I'm not perfect. I got a temper with the kids. I love my kids to death, but man, they can drive me nuts, especially when my brain's been talking to people all day and in creation mode or in, business finance mode where I'm crunching numbers or I'm problem solving. Sometimes you come home and you just want some peace, and kids are freaking climbing on the cabinet, hanging off the cabinet doors, and it's like a zoo.
The world is their playground. That's for sure. Yeah.
And my wife is just, she's just calm all the time, and we're lucky to have good women like that allow us to go run too.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, like I said, it's a blessing to have met her and be growing a family and a life together with her. It's fun.
It's a great way to segue into your story, because I didn't
Yeah,
start.
yeah,
You grew
yeah,
up in
yeah.
Connecticut.
Yes,
Small town next to UConn.
That's right.
So you were over at the UConn parties all the time.
That's right.
How was it like growing up in like a small town in Connecticut? Watch yourself on your cowboy boots.
Oh
over
yeah,
there.
man. It was good. It was fun. I mean, it has, it's fun. It's a small town, so growing up, you know everyone. As you
Good
get older.
and bad.
Yeah, absolutely. As you get older, you want to, in high school, you want to have fun and you want to have those parties. And in a small town that's very spread out, it's tough to have those parties. So, having that escape of UConn to be able to venture up there and see what college parties.
Did you grow up
were
on
like.
some acreage?
Yeah, a little bit. We were on a very wooded lot, very small yard, but a whole bunch of woods. Big, small little creek that ran through it, but it kind of divided everyone's property. So I followed that thing up to like the development behind us through the,
Riding quads, shooting bows. What were you doing?
We had a trike, I guess, or some shit like that.
Oh
when we
yeah,
were
I
a
had
kid.
a trike too.
Yeah. We had like the little Honda 3-wheeler.
Big red.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember. So I had older brothers, and we had that and a dirt bike, and I would sit on their lap as they drove it because I was way too young, but my thumb always found the throttle and would get us in trouble.
Oh yeah, it's fun.
Yeah.
I still to this day. I mean, owner and I were just. I got the quad back at a fuel pump. I had to kind of run it, and we were just messing around. He was shooting on the camera. I just posted that reel tonight, and I just still love it. I'm like a little kid, and now I got my son's 50 in there. On my front porch for my daughter's birthday, we got a little electric quad because we're going to this 4 acres. Knock on wood, everything goes right.
Right.
We're in attorney review, and we got some inspections and some few things that finished up, but it looks like we're 98% there, and we're just so excited to get over there with the quads and just even the biggest thing about a quad around here is we don't live in the woods.
Right.
I don't even have a woods I can go get to in Bricktown. I could sneak through a couple streets, cross over a couple of public roads. I know enough for cops. I'm like, I should be okay. I'm not trying to be disrespectful. I'm not riding on people's lawns.
Right.
And I'd be able to get to some woods where I can go ride. Around here, there ain't shit. You're at the
Right.
beach. You're at the beach and the bay and boats. So it was important for us to go somewhere where like 5 o'clock I come home from work. I'm not going to the park. There's a swing set in the yard. And we're popping on the quads. We're pulling out of the detached garage and we're going over to the pit.
Yeah.
We're riding through our own little woods. Like,
Yeah.
I'm super excited about that.
It's fun. I tell you, we have a quad. We use it for, chores around the property. But when the chores are done, we take a little end of the day joyride and we have the kids on there. We do a little. They think we're going fast, but we're still staying safe enough to rip through. But yeah, every now and then you drop them off and you do a little faster lap through the yard and have fun with it. But yeah, it's fun. I mean, those are
brings you back to being a kid.
Absolutely, they're memories that we, like you said, we had as kids, that now we're able to have those memories and make those memories with our kids. And
I think a lot of
create
times,
that.
a lot of us, myself included, we get caught up in chasing a dollar amount because. Not so much for the dollar amount, but because we know what that dollar amount allows us to do with our family.
Right.
And the life it allows us to live. And, it's those little things that we're working towards as business owners and that success that we're looking for, like being able to come home and afford 2-3 quads for the family.
Right.
And a property like you have or like I'm buying that has room for you to go play on those toys, and you guys are raising chickens and doing a bunch of other stuff there. We'll get into that a little bit
we're
more
always
later.
staying busy.
Yeah, you're a busy family, but that's what I work for. I know a lot of guys in the pit, and just friends of mine, clients of mine for years. Same thing. We want to make good money. We want to have the ability to go do anything we want to do and not have much restriction due to a dollar. But I think sometimes that's lost, and it's very important for me to continue to point it out. Not only for everybody else, but to remind myself.
I think that's a huge point, and one that I struggle to keep in check or in balance.
It's not easy.
There's always, I don't want to be the reason we're restricted or we don't get, our goal to, get more land and have a big farm or do whatever. It's dependent on me, and I definitely feel that stress at times. But I know that I'm doing my part to get there. But also, like, thing is, like, you get to your benchmark of what your goal is, and you don't allow yourself to feel that success, because immediately you make that next goal. You're like, all right, cool, hit that goal. What's the next one?
Well,
there is no.
Well, that's why we got to turn around and be like, okay, where did we start?
Exactly, yeah.
And where have we come? Like last year, I was smoked at the end of the year. I literally got to the couples retreat, and I was like, I probably wasn't even like the best of host I could be. Everybody had a great time at the couples retreat. We rented out a whole hotel up there. We're gonna do something similar this year, but a little bit different. But I was ready for a break. I was ready for Christmas and then get up to the mountains. And we rented a place all winter up at Wyndham, and it's nice to just be with my family and be away. And that's what's most important, for everybody. And we got to always remind ourselves of, like, hey, what did I do to even get here?
Right.
Okay, I'm not to where I want to go, but I am renting this beautiful house in Wyndham. I don't own it.
Right.
But I have the ability to pay for the rent, which is also not cheap.
Yeah.
Like, I did that because I did this, and this over the last 5 years.
Right.
And it's good to remind ourselves. And again, going back to the women, I think your wife and my wife understand. And just like we get lost in what we're doing and don't remember, I don't know, does your wife stay home, Mom?
She is, yes.
Yeah, so like my wife stays home. Like, we forget all the shit they're doing all day, and they're trying to do the dishes, and they're trying to grocery shop, and they got the 2-year-old hanging off the cabinet and on the counter,
right.
and then.
Yeah.
And I think for the ladies, we do put so much pressure on ourselves as the man naturally to be the protector, the provider, and it's a lot of stress.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. There's definitely different stressors both sides take on. I mean, I know in the 2 hours. I'm at home at night between when I get home and bedtime. It's like, shit.
Witching hour, bro.
It's crazy. They're.
I yelled tonight. Owner was sadly had to be witness to it, but my kids are always climbing on my countertop.
Yeah.
And it gives me PTSD. My son fell out here. I told you earlier. Had this dude, like, I thought he was gonna die, bro. I've never seen a lump on an adult human's head, let alone a 3-year-old. And we had to take him to the hospital. I was very nervous, like, something was going to be wrong with him. And my daughter is just an animal, dude. She just, we have this stool that lets her up on our countertops, and it's meant to stand on and eat there. So they're, it obviously makes them taller. They're short. Instead, my kids climb on top of the counter, and I'm like, what are you guys doing? And I just lost it. Like, the stool's going outside, threw it out the slider.
Yep.
It broke. Now my daughter's yet crying. I'm like, idiot, Dad, idiot, And
there's lots of those moments you want back, but being
we ain't perfect.
Absolutely, and that's the thing though, is that if you, at least I've tried to go back on the moment and be like, hey, Daddy didn't do the right thing there.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Sorry I did that. That's not the way to act. I was like, but we gotta all work together as a family and be better, and listen the first time through and whatnot, but.
It's tough being a parent, man.
It is.
I don't know how the women stay home all day.
I don't know.
They are built different. Like I said, my wife's patience her patience are absolutely incredible. But I want to move this story along. So, go to high school. Were you a good student? Did you like it? You're a big athlete. Played lacrosse.
Played lacrosse. Back to the good student. I mean, I was up until high school when you get a lot more freedom, and. Yeah, I mean, there was...
No one's on you 24/7.
That's the thing. And I think I had some teachers who preferred me not in the classroom. So when I skipped to go fishing, it wasn't they still checked me off that I was there.
Yeah.
It didn't hold me back. So, but, I mean, I C student at best and didn't really think I was getting anywhere with it. Somehow got accepted into a couple different colleges and...
We don't think we're going to get anywhere to it because it's pounded in our heads that
Exactly.
we don't have straight A's.
That's it.
We're not going to go anywhere in life because they put us into this matrix of gray room, low lighting.
Listen.
Put us all as fucking mice.
All think the same way and do what we tell you and you'll succeed in life. And
we've talked about this a ton, so I don't have to go into it a ton.
Yeah.
But like, I wouldn't say most. A lot of successful entrepreneurs, small business owners, even top salespeople in the corporate financial side of things, dude, they were like rebels, dude. Mm-hmm. A lot of them have no college degrees.
Absolutely.
A lot of them dropped out of high school, and they're absolute studs.
Yeah.
And I really believe it was because someone like me was never trained to think like them, nor was I good at it. I had ADHD to the max. Still to this day, I'm not very good at like sitting still ever.
Oh yeah.
If you want me to sit still for like hours and hours, it's probably going to require like a bourbon or a couple cigars. Like I just can't sit still. So just imagine a young Ryan, 10, 12, 14 in school. Like it was just never going to play out. But I do believe that allowed me to not get sucked into their system that they indoctrinate you to.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's a huge concern, especially in today's world of, what else goes on in that school and what
You had a
kind of
scenario
restrictions.
at your school.
Yeah.
I don't know who's going to see this, so I don't want you to throw yourself under the bus.
No, it's good. Yeah, just, different families make different decisions, and you never think that, in 4-year-old preschool or 5-year-old preschool, whatever it is, you're going to have to face those challenges at that time. But our son he's got a great head on his shoulders already.
That's what you teach him.
Yeah, thank you. And he knew.
And Danielle.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean,
mostly Danielle. Mostly Kelly.
I tell you, we drive it home, and they're like sponges. They pick it right up. They've been to everything from being patriotic to knowing that boys can do things that girls can't do, and girls can do things that boys can't do. We all have our own superpowers as males and females, and it's not.
There's nothing wrong with it.
Yeah, exactly.
It's funny. I sometimes mess with my daughter Wesley, and I say, "Come on, man," and Colton will go, "She's not a man. She's a girl."
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm like, yeah, "You're right, bud.
That's
right.
good.
Daddy
yeah.
was wrong."
Well, and that's the thing. Like, so there's times when I'll joke around and like I'll pick out. So Liberty is our daughter, and I'll pick out like something for her, and I'll be like,
Beautiful
this is
name.
Thank you. And so we have Jameson, Grant, and Liberty. Those are our kids. So I'll take some of hers and I'll give it to the boys. I'm like, hey, go get dressed. And I'm like, this isn't mine. It's a girl's clothes. We don't wear that. I'm like, and like I take that moment to say, hey, you're right. That's that. And then like I drive that point home just to.
Yeah, it's almost like in our generation right now, like we have like paranoia of like our kids gonna be like stuck on this, and whether that's right, wrong, and different, I don't really care what transes go do. Go like hang out in a bar somewhere, a hotel, an island.
Yeah.
Go do your thing as an adult. It's America.
Want.
You can be free. Don't push that shit on kids.
Right.
Don't be an adult person who thinks that way and starts dressing your kids as I just think it's completely wrong. And you see it now, actually. These surgeries started going on 15 years ago, 10 years ago, pretty heavily under the hush-hush. Doctors were converting kids, and now all those people are suing. They're suing the doctors, they're suing their parents, they're suing everyone, the schools.
Yeah. They regret every second of it.
Yeah, they regret it, which is crazy. I started to hear those stories, then you started to see them publicized more as it got more and more in the mainstream. And I just don't think this type of shit for younger kids when they're at home taught a certain way should be shoved down their throat in any aspect.
Well, I mean, if you look
sexually.
Exactly, yeah. But like, well, when we were growing up, it was like 5th grade, 6th grade. You were learning like puberty and that kind of stuff.
I think high school we did health.
Yeah.
Pretty sure it was 9th grade we started health.
Okay. So I mean, we had a brief like week-long like, here's what your body's probably going to start going through in like 6th grade, and then that was it. It wasn't too much on that, but
all the guys start laughing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Such immature little
assholes. Absolutely. But I forget where I was going with it. But like in today's world, it's just, and like to your point, maybe it is paranoia, but there's so much on TV that if you walk out of the room while they're Bluey's
YouTube,
on or
dude.
Paw Patrol is on, and a commercial is going to come on with some drag queens. It's like, why the fuck are you playing that in the middle of a kid's show?
The YouTube, dude, is so weird.
It's not the appropriate commercial for that age group.
But God forbid I say the C word on YouTube.
Oh yeah.
And not the C word you guys are all thinking. See you next Tuesday. Like the big word.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I got one strike on my YouTube already for talking about it during it at the time. As you can imagine, we had a doctor on, or she's a nurse practitioner, and it was actually her thing she was saying. It wasn't me. But I digress. I don't want to spend too much time on that. But yeah, school's a challenging thing, as we had our own experiences, which we didn't love school too much, and then now you see your kids going and embarking that, and there's like my Aunt Peggy, my Aunt Peggy, my uncle. I don't know if they ever watched the show. They're like Alabama pastors.
Okay.
He was a military guy, and they homeschooled their kids. And I was like, that's so weird, you know? 'Cause I went to public school, and now like a solid ecosystem of business owners and people I know, which are like no bullshit, like 200, 300 people around this area, are all looking for pods, homeschooling,
Yeah.
Apogee. Our friends Phil and Kelsey inside the pit are launching Apogee, that Tim Kennedy school.
Okay.
You and I talked about it briefly.
Yeah, briefly. Yeah.
Once they get that up and running, my kid will be going there.
Okay.
It's just a wild world. We don't have to spend much time on that.
Yeah, no, but I mean, to your point, it's crazy. There's definitely, it's popping up a lot more. I mean, the numbers are like doubling every year of how many kids are being homeschooled, and I
Well, the
think
public
it's,
schools are having problems with attendance because
Yeah.
that is based on their funding.
well, and that's the thing. It's where your taxes are going to start dropping the more
Yeah.
they spend less in schools, because that's where what, like 90% of
Let's
town
hope.
taxes
Let's
go.
hope. They'll find some other way to,
Of course
to
they will.
steal it and keep it.
Yeah, they'll find other ways. They always do.
So when did you have this, desire and want to be in like graphic design, decals, the print space? When did you start to kind of mess with that stuff?
So high school, we had a pretty elaborate graphics course. They offered 3 different courses and then like a seminar, which was basically like the teacher's assistant. So every year, freshman through senior, I took all 4 options. And senior year, I worked part-time in a screen print shop, a sign shop. And then I had a couple coaches ask me for shirts for their clinics or camps. And my teachers were super easygoing. They allowed me to take the day off from classes and work and run my jobs in the graphics classroom.
It's a great teacher, by the way.
Absolutely, yeah. To like look back on it and the just opportunity they gave me to find something I was passionate about, and I mean, who knew at that point that that's where I wanted to go with it? I kind of did. I knew that was the direction I wanted to go, and going off to college with a graphics
Major.
kind of focus. Yeah, that's where I had that, and then a business management, took a couple like entrepreneur classes, and really just kind of drove the.
And you
the point
continued to
home.
kind of sell in that sports space during college as well, right?
Yep. So business was officially founded in 2009.
And the name of your business again, because I know you have Thrive, which is another brand.
Yeah. So Forge Athletics is our athletic side of the business.
Tell people exactly what you guys do.
So we
Do a bunch of different things kind of in that space.
Yeah, we do a whole bunch of stuff. So on Forge Athletics, we're sports-based, American-made uniforms, and then we
no
offer
like tags ripped off and
no tags ripped off, and then printed, and then said, then you claim it's American-made. It's real American-made. We have I believe a 3rd-generation mill we buy the fabrics from. They actually do the printing on the fabric. Then it gets picked up and brought to a facility that does the cutting and sewing for us right outside of Philly. So we're very hands-on with the process. I was there a couple weeks ago working on our new football jerseys. So,
and what are those jerseys for?
so those it's a new pattern for us. So this way one thing, like, I can buy whatever patterns I need to, but then we're the same as everyone else. So I like to take different elements and create our own.
Make your jersey look unique.
Exactly.
And then you'll
Yeah.
custom make it to
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
whoever
So
you're selling to.
So that's that side of the
Talk about the
business.
sports though, like
Yeah.
just so people better understand it, maybe watch it. So like you're doing lacrosse jerseys.
Yep, lacrosse jerseys. We're getting into so lacrosse jerseys, apparel, anything from sweatshirts the parents are wearing on the sideline to
Football
practice apparel.
jerseys.
Yep, football apparel, football jerseys. we're
Pullover,
getting to.
windbreakers, rain gear.
All that stuff. Yeah, we run the team stores so parents can go on and order whatever team apparel they want to get, and we ship everything right to each person's house, make it as convenient as possible. That's one thing that I know from helping my coach in high school and even doing a little bit in college was, the efficiency of the process was awful. It was.
Parents are brutal. They wanted to support.
Yeah.
And then their shit's not showing up.
Parents are brutal.
And the coach is like, dude, I'm just trying to coach.
Well, that's the thing. Coaches have a lot to do, and planning.
They want to
the
raise
apparel.
money for the team, but they don't give a shit about.
Well, yeah. If they focus more on the apparel and how the team looks, then how the team plays goes down the drain real fast. So our goal was to focus on that side to make it easier, so coach could just say, hey, this is what I want to do. You guys handle it, and I'm going to get back to coaching.
Now, are you doing a lot in the regular courses thing, guys? You doing a lot in just regular lacrosse leagues all throughout the country?
So youth rec programs, youth travel programs, high school teams, collegiate teams, even post-collegiate is big on the lacrosse side. But then at the college level, a lot of what we do are helmet decals. We're on, I'd say probably about close to a third of the D1 teams.
Pretty big deal.
Yeah.
You have Notre Dame?
We do not.
Damn it.
We, at the college level, licensing becomes a real headache for programs and a restriction. Some equipment managers don't want to deal with waiting another week.
Yeah.
And our team is top notch when it comes to that stuff. We get the licensing figured out, all the paperwork in right away. But there's still a waiting period with it. So.
Yeah, and they already have a connect and.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. We got Rutgers, Navy, Villanova. Used to do some stuff for NJIT. So there's a handful of Syracuse we ran this year, Army we ran this year.
And you guys are working on some stuff for Oregon, huh?
Potentially.
Yeah,
Potentially. Yeah, we're
allegedly.
Going, yeah, we'll see. Yeah, supposedly. We're tapping into the football market and trying to bring our creativity and our expertise over there. We have the machines to run it. There's no reason not to. So we're trying to make a name for ourselves in that market as well. And I think we'll make a pretty good splash this year.
Now you're also going into say a trucking company. You're going to provide the guys with uniforms and Carhartt jackets and real nice gear for there.
Real nice stuff. Yeah. So in the beginning, it was always sports focused. 2020, when all the seasons, we experienced that lockdown. Mm-hmm. All the seasons came to a halt, and then even in 21, when seasons were back up but restricted, they all had brand new stuff from the year before, so nobody bought anything. And if they did, it was 6 more sets of this, 10 more sets of that. It was not the normal reorder size. So during that time, those essential companies that were still running, I knew we needed to create a different department that focused on them and emerged.
See, that's small business ownership, and that's a nugget. Sometimes the Black Swan event or life in general will throw this thing at us, and we think, oh, this is for me or this situation. Life happens for us, not to us. And I've heard that said a lot the last year of my life, and I think it's so important. So when you get hit with these frustration situations, I told you Instagram took down my link, really, from the reason they said we were spamming. We weren't. We were forced to then run ads, and I never really ran ads for any of the events. It's just been my natural ecosystem and word of mouth. And that was a unique thing, really learning what ad worked and really getting into it with specialist Mike Tannerich, who's in the pit as well, running those ads for us. So that made me better. So now I know for other future events, maybe I can run ads to them. I could be super targeted. I could just retarget my Instagram followers, my Facebook followers. And that moment, you went and learned a whole new line or product line that you were able to launch, another SKU. Yeah. That helped your business stay afloat at the time, and now it's an extra add-on. Yeah, absolutely. It's a big part of our business now and has helped us to get to that next level. But yeah, without that, I mean, I guess to kind of break it down a little more, having the concern of where the economy goes and now having a little more security. Yes, we're still in the same industry, but having a sports side and sports. We, even with cutbacks, they still don't go anywhere. Yeah. Parents and people are always going to want their kids to play. There's not a lack of money in youth sports, man. No, absolutely not. It's like lacrosse. People will find a way. Holy shit. Yeah, they've been like I said, this is our 16th year in business. We haven't had 1 year. We had a down year, which was during the lockdowns. Yeah. And it was a very small drop we experienced that year, so we were very grateful for that. But we've been growing every year, and I think it's a huge contribution to how fast youth sports are growing, and also, adding on this other division to be able to focus on, construction companies, service-based companies, things like that. And you also do shit like this, you know? Absolutely. Golf polos, embroidery, print. I got to hook you up with Randy from New Wave. He does all my T-shirts. Great dude. He doesn't do any embroidering, though. Okay. So, a lot of times I'm in the abundance thought process if you're a good person. You can kind of exchange leads. Yeah, definitely. Hey, go talk to Justin over at Forged. But I'll introduce you guys. Remind me. Yeah. Even if it's something where,
it's a contract printing form or something like that, so he can do the embroidery and offer it and still make a buck on it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Remind me to connect you guys. Randy's a good dude. So, obviously, you're in this business.
Mm-hmm.
You're excited about it.
Yeah, it's fun. There's new challenges every day.
Yeah, well, it's fun. It's fun and frustrating, but you learn to kind of love the journey. And that's a cliche thing to say when you're an entrepreneur, and I've heard people tell you. But what is like one of the most rewarding things for you with what you do? Before you get into that, let's take a quick break. I'll be right back. So jumping back in, I wanted to ask you, what was something that you really feel most proud of, or you're fulfilled with what you're doing in your business?
I'd say the look on a lot of people's face, when they get whatever it is, whether it's shirts for their business, and oftentimes when it's a new business owner, and they, for whatever reason, holding a shirt gives them a sense of like validity of what they're doing is real. And
so weird it does.
Right? Yeah, getting like your business of or certificate of business from the state or whatever it is, there's that level too, but getting something that's now a billboard for yourself, that's a fun part of it. But also, we're getting to a position now where we can start helping other people, whether it's people in the community. We got some people who come in who are in tough spots, and when it's meets certain things, I'm able to just help them out and give them whatever it is, and just the look on their face of just how grateful they are that I'm able to help them.
Yeah,
is enough. Yeah.
Small business owners, we need to continue to help each other.
And that's the thing. Yeah, it's I know how it feels to be in those spots when things are tight, and seeing that look on other people's face. You do what you can to try and help them out as best you can.
Absolutely. Back to getting that hat that's has your name on it at the pit, or Fireside, your gear as a business owner, you should be rocking that everywhere. And I'm not saying you don't rock your friends' brands.
Right.
I have a bunch of people that I do one-on-one coaching with, or they're finance clients, so I rock their brands a lot. I try to throw it on my story or wear it on this. Rob, my friend who owns Flagner Fail, I love his hoodies. And his gear, I'm always rocking his stuff, and
get the overalls on next, though.
Yeah, I don't know if I want to get the overalls. My wife keeps making fun of me. I think I should.
Yeah,
I gotta try them on. I think they might make me look an extra rounder, but
he almost had me that day. He almost sold me on him.
I know, dude. He's fucking good. But we should all be rocking our own brand often, right? Like Thrive's another brand that you're looking to launch. We can get into that in a minute, but you should have nice gear. And that's like guerrilla marketing. Go, even if you're not selling them, go give out 150 hoodies in your town. If you're like Pete Riley's a guy that I used to coach, and he did the wrestling. I'm like, dude, go print 200 hoodies or t-shirts and just give them out to all the kids in your wrestling. So now all those kids or those parents are going to the gym and they're seeing that brand out there.
Yeah.
Again, we don't have to be 100-mile famous. Another guy in the pit, Joe, I keep talking about the pit tonight, but Joe Hughes is Contractor Dynamics, 5-mile famous. He teaches these roofers in a sense of marketing and social media. We don't need to have 1 million followers.
Right.
We don't need to have, a 150-mile reach. Like, you can become pretty successful within 5 miles as a small business owner if people know your brand.
Right.
And something that's very inexpensive, right? I like nice gear, and I'm not saying it's even that expensive, but it's relatively inexpensive versus other marketing things. If someone's going to go rock your gear, that's awesome. It's something that everybody needs to do, and don't overlook it. Stupid shit like hats. People love these hats. We ordered 100.
Yeah.
People love them.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, brand bills is a huge. Are
you guys able to contract through them?
So they go direct.
Yeah.
They have their own, whole system set
I
up.
don't even know. Matt and them ordered these. I don't even.
But to your point of people, wearing their brand and being a billboard, a huge thing we see is people trying to save a buck and save 50 cents or $1 on a shirt, and so they drop down from that 100% cotton ring spun, like that soft cotton shirt.
People are gonna actually want to wear.
And then they go with the Gildan,
Cheapy.
hand, or I'm like cool. You might get 50
It's
more
in your
shirts.
budget, maybe, whatever.
Yeah, you got a couple more shirts in the mix, but how many of those shirts are going to end up in the closet or be used as rags or just be thrown out and never touched again? And they're crazy tonight.
I'm telling you, bro.
Yeah.
They're watching Fireside.
Yeah, that's right.
Bro.
Yeah,
They
that's
know.
it. They're trying to get the bird's
It's
eye
a
view of this
military
place.
tanker. Yeah, like I can't say enough. Even like these golf shirts. This is Nike. I've done Under
Yeah.
Armour. I've done Adidas. Like I've always got the nicer golf shirts. We would we participated in something, Jason's Dreams for Kids. It was kind of like a local My Wish Foundation for sick families. They take kids to Disney, the Giants game, Cowboys game, whatever.
Very cool.
And we would bring 25 financial clients, and we would get our gear on it and make them like a little goodie bag, kind of separately, almost using it as like a golf event we did for our clients.
Right.
While supporting a great cause, and people always wore those shirts. They always had the bags. The one years we did these coolers that had one of the financial companies that the wholesalers got us. Yeah. It was like an igloo cooler, but it was a soft bag. Mm-hmm. I would go over a client's house like 4 years later, and he was still using it to go out by the pool with his beers. And it's just like,
that's the thing is you got to be creative with what you're giving away, and sometimes it is going to be more expensive, but it's going to have a lasting impression. Like you said, like that cooler still gets used years later.
Here's a really funny one that I never really thought of, and I didn't even know it really existed, but now obviously it makes sense. Mm-hmm. But wine cork tops.
Yeah.
You could do them branding your company. So let's just say you're a wino and you're really into wine. This is a perfect example. It happened. Mm-hmm. My buddy Mike Sabato in the firm, huge wine guy, he's always out in wine country, had some exotic bottle of wine or whatever. Went over a friend's house, left the cork top on it, which was his financial brand, his DBA. And I might get the story somewhat wrong, Mike, but long story short, this other gentleman who was wildly successful came over, noticed it, who's that guy? They became friendly through the friends, and they popped this exotic bottle of wine one night together, and he ended up landing a large six-figure case that year from one person, from a fucking wine top, dude.
It's the craziest thing, but yeah, I mean, it's putting your logo in anywhere and everywhere, but being strategic about it. And
correct.
It's you can print up a shit ton of pens and just leave them places, but if they're shitty pens that blow up the first time you click it, it's what good is it? Yeah. So you have to be smart, and and I always try and point people in the right direction. And I'll be honest, a lot of times I don't win bids because I come in overpriced, but it's because I'm pointing them in the right, at least in my opinion, I'm pointing them in the right direction of what I think is going to be the right product for them, of what their end goal is looking to do.
Dude, even like my kids' sports team, like I see like my brother-in-law and them, they'll have some nice gear sometimes, like up there, and they're their kids play cross up in Long Island. Yeah. I'm like, all right, if I'm a parent rocking this team, right, whether it be Truth or Team 91 or Frogman, whatever the hell these different brands are. There's like so many out in Long Island. I want to have like a nice pullover. I want it to be quality. I want it to be a nice T-shirt I throw on or a nice hoodie. I'm kind of particular about like certain feels. Like my pit hoodies, they're like the top of the line independent. Like they're awesome. The independent sweatpants are awesome.
Oh yeah. But there's nothing like putting on a sweatshirt for the first time, or even after your first wash, and the sleeve comes halfway up your arm. You're like, well, this sucks. I'm never going to wear this thing again. Or it's, comes up your belly, and it's like, you save $2 on the hoodie, but you never get to use it again because it doesn't fit you the right way. Yeah. So it's, again, pointing in the right direction of say, hey, this one's tried and true. Like there's a couple of shirts that I don't change. Like, not that I don't change. I wear the same shit all the time. I
got 4 of these. I just ordered 5 more.
Exactly. Yeah. I got five T-shirts that I wear to work. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. They get washed on the weekend. They get worn again. Those things, they last like half the year, maybe a full year. But like, how many times are you wearing the same shirt every day? I mean, in a work setting, yes, or like if you're in the field. But
did you know Jamie from Eat Clean Bro before the event?
I knew of him, but I did not know him.
So Jamie that was a rare day, which is so funny because he was coming from a bachelor party, as you can see, as he displayed it on stage and being funny and with good, being a good sport about it. Yeah, Jamie came and still showed up when he had his best friend's bachelor party, and I love that guy for it. Dude, I'm telling you.
This is, what is this, like 5 or 6 so far?
Yeah. Wild. I'm telling you. It's a little weird. Something's going on. A lot of air traffic.
Jeez.
That's another tanker. Looks
Yeah.
like. Jamie's never not in Eat Clean Bro gear, ever.
Yeah, I mean,
T-shirts,
it's smart, yeah.
hoodies, pullovers, golf shirts. It's Eat Clean Bro, bright blue, or it's white with his bright blue label. You know, his particular style of font. Like it's everywhere. Like your
Yeah.
brand needs to be everywhere. And if I pivot into social media, same thing. Like you guys are watching this right now. I got Fireside on. I got the Pit on.
Right.
Right. I talked about the Pit a few times already. Right.
Oh, yeah.
So like that, that just starts to show up in people's world.
Right.
And if you're going to be on camera, or you're shooting content, or a customer of yours is doing stuff, they want to be in front of the camera with their brand on. Because whoever this gets out to, whether it be 5,000 views, 10,000 views, 1 million views, right? Now, if I think about my reel that went viral over the winter, I had like 1.5 million views on it. I was just in a regular flannel coat like that, sweatpants, and I was picking up wood to burn at the house. And I'm like, damn, I wish I had on like a Pit hoodie.
Yeah.
I have all that gear.
Right.
So you just never know. Like you are a walking billboard for your brand, and buy nice shit that fits you nice and you like and you're gonna wear.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's a lot of times in those moments where it feels kind of forced or like corny, like why am I wearing this? But to your point, like you don't know walking to the grocery store or at your kid's game or whatever the case might be, like, oh, that I know the Pit or I know Fireside.
100%.
What were you wearing that for? I'm like, I am, or you're like, I am Fireside. Like,
well, it's so funny that happens so often. So like,
Yeah.
my sister-in-law will come down and we'll go out to a restaurant or whatever, even an hour away, and people are like, oh, you're the dude from Fireside. And a lot of times I am rocking gear or whatever, or they notice my face. And dude, it's just social media, good branding, nice gear. I think it's a great combination, and it's not something people should sleep on. And I have never cheaped out on junk gear. Not T-shirts, not hoodies, not golf shirts, nothing. And my clients wear my shit. There's still Wealth Coordination Consultants is my financial brand. Right. I have clients that I gave golf shirts to 10 years ago that still have them. Yeah. It's just T-shirts, whatever it is.
And that's it's strategy, and it's making the point that it's money well invested, because now that person, if they wore it in front of you, but how many times did they wear it when you weren't around? And now other people are seeing it. Whether it's not everyone is as observant of what people are wearing as definitely myself, because being in the industry, I inspect the shit out of everything. We'll go on vacation, I'll pick up a shirt and be like, yeah, it's a little crooked, or man, that's a Gildan shirt. I'm not paying $25 for a Gildan shirt. We're good here. Yeah. And be like, but I mean, back to my point of just having money well spent in those situations, and the branding, and it just further pushes your brand in other places that someone else will see that, and maybe they see it a couple of times and like, all right, what is the shirt this guy's wearing over here? And they'll ask a question, or they'll look it up online, and
conversation started. I just had those new WCC Fireside ones. Fireside, it was on the sleeve, and it says stroke checks. Right. And stroke is in like a white background, and then checks just doesn't have it, so it just looks different. It catches your eyes. Already at the gym, people are like, what the fuck is that? You know? And there's a big meaning behind the whole stroke checks. Oh yeah. It may come off the wrong way if you take it the wrong way, but it's about stroking checks into yourself, into your business. But just stupid shit like that with your gear. You could change up your shirt. Thrive, which is not your brand. I'm talking about Thrive, the sports recovery place here in Belmar. My buddy AJ, they do a really good job of switching up their seasonal shirts. They do things for St. Patty's Day. They do things for the summer. They do things for, with space. They really do a good job of keeping their brand on it, but also switching it up. We don't have to do the same thing every time. Right. I mean, the thing is, in most cases, and those of you who aren't listening, listen, don't overlook this shit. Yeah, in most cases, the apparel is not going to make you money. In those circumstances where it's not a gym or a brewery or whatever the case might be, you're not making millions on that. But when that person wears, that brewery shirt out to somewhere else, and they're like, oh, shit, I didn't know that was around here. I wanted to check that out. Right, and that's what stirs the curiosity, and now people are driven back to you, and it's a small piece, but it still can be added to that sales funnel of drawing people back to them. I think it's a big piece. I think a lot of people rock Eat Clean, bro. I think a lot of people rocked, Coronados, which is another meal prep brand. I think a lot of people rock the pit stuff now. I think a lot of people rock Flagner Fail, and then that spun into a huge apparel company, right? That's what they sell now. Lifestyle brand, I should call it.
Yeah.
But, not to beat a dead horse, like I think it's extremely, extremely important. And I'm not just saying this because I'm interviewing you. Like I have gear all the time.
And it's a...
I'll give it out or I'll sell it, you know, different ways.
I mean, it's a tough sell because a lot of business, on the business side of things, like sports side, it's a given. You need uniforms, you need practice apparel. Like the coaches need to be looking good on the sideline. It's a required kind of look. Now, depending on what scale they go to, if they're going, basic level or Nike or Under Armour, something like that, it all depends on budget. But when it comes to the business side, a lot of companies, you'd be surprised, don't think they need apparel, and they have guys go out in the field. There was a trucking company from this area down here. Huge. I can't remember the name of it. I sent them an email one time. They got back to me and they were like, "Yeah, we don't give our guys apparel," and they did like waste removal and things along those lines. I'm like, you guys are sending your guys out in the field, picking up garbage cans or doing whatever, but like, what happens if they get out of the truck and they go and talk to somebody? That's just a stranger. That's not, you know what I mean? Like there's nothing there.
Or the guy driving by and you have landscapers with bright yellow shirts on that are sun shirts that are helpful to them. Your workers out in the sun, they got a little hoodie on it and it's got your name plastered across the back. Don't get me wrong, your truck's out there with some labeling too, but those are some pretty, in-your-face shirts.
They go get lunch, and now all of a sudden that's in front of 30 other guys who are getting lunch.
I didn't do landscaper. My landscaper's not been showing up.
It's gonna spark a conversation, but like, it's a lot of business owners, I think, or people who make those decisions think it's a small cog in the wheel of the business, but it ups the level of professionalism for the company. It, like we were just talking about, it's a billboard for the company. It provides so much value to them that it doesn't. It's just I think it's just undervalued of what a good apparel can bring to a company.
I completely listen. Why do the biggest brands out there have apparel with their logos on it?
Yeah.
And I'm not just talking about apparel brands, but Nike didn't start with gear; they were shoes. They were running shoes. Shoe Dog, great book if you haven't read it. Like Nike then started creating apparel, right? Cameron Hanes. Origin, to name some smaller brands and things that, people use, up to the biggest of brands, Peloton. Peloton's not an apparel brand. It's an exercise brand with an exercise bike.
Even First Form, they supplements.
He sells a shit ton of stuff.
I just saw hunting apparel today. I'm like, what the fuck? But it has their logo on camo gear. And people are going to wear it because people love the brand. Correct. And it further pushes that brand to other people that it goes beyond just the marketing that they can do.
It's funny when small business owners think they have it figured out. It's like, I know everything. Like, none of us know everything. No. I could be up here and talk to some of the smartest of guys and know some areas that they don't, and they're smoking me in other ones. It's we never know everything. And
absolutely not.
We should be open-minded to listen to a lot of this. So I want to get some more nuggets out of you. Mm-hmm. So when you're going into these colleges or you're looking to find some of these customers, what are some ways that you're prospecting or marketing yourself, obviously besides rocking your own brand? Mm-hmm. How are you prospecting and marketing yourself into these companies?
It's tough on the college level, I'd say. I mean, every college is different, all depending on budget. Some colleges have dedicated equipment managers per team. Some of them it's just a general equipment manager. Some of them have assistant coaches. So, really finding the right person to speak with, but also, again, creating value when you go and do your cold outreach, I think is huge and something that
with gifts.
Yeah, gifts. I mean,
relationships.
Exactly. I mean, there's like on the college level, coming in with designs and different looks of what their helmets could look like for the upcoming year, or asking to be a part of...
Just catch their eye.
That's it, yeah. Asking to be a part of even designing the helmet, because oftentimes they'll put together a helmet that looks cool, but then the helmet doesn't, the logos, their mascots don't translate onto or transfer onto the helmet the right way or the best way that's possible, and different things are kind of restricted within the design and doesn't have that cohesive look. So it's nice to be in the process from the beginning. Because with lacrosse helmets, you can do the shell, the face mask, the chin, different elements that are stock on the helmet that colors can be changed.
You're doing some cool stuff right now with the helmets. I don't know if you want to talk about it, but You were saying, you know, a lot of the football helmets now have some, you know, exterior padding to help limit concussions.
Yes. So I believe last week or the week before, the NFL just passed that those are approved for gameplay. So we'll probably be seeing a good deal of them this coming year. But the struggle with it is that, you know, there's padded cells all around there. It's not a flat surface. So my background with lacrosse, the helmets are so rigid. It's not a smooth, you know, surface like a football helmet. So oftentimes we have to break up designs to fit them over the rough edges. Exactly, yeah. So we template every helmet out that we get in. So this way we can create the decals already cut to size to everything that, you know, even has
So you're bringing out the new hot helmets that are popular, completely creating templates.
Exactly,
so it's just
yeah.
interchangeable design.
I mean, we have great relationships with the helmet manufacturers on the lacrosse side. So
what are some of the ones?
So Cascade, STX, and Warrior are your top 3 helmets. Are really the only 3 out there.
Where do those come from? Like I don't know anything. And
Yeah. So
where are they like manufacturing those? Like
Cascade is Liverpool, New York. Everything is produced right there, I believe.
is that a massive company? Like
Yeah, so they were recently purchased by Bauer, and for like their helmet technology, they definitely are the market monster on the lacrosse space. And then you have STX, which is I think they're out of Baltimore area, and then Warrior, I believe, is out of Michigan. So Warrior Sports, they're lacrosse and hockey. STX is, I believe, primarily lacrosse. I mean, that's my background, so that's what I know them for. But yeah, Cascade is a huge player in the game. Definitely the number one of them all.
It's so crazy when you go into these different. I talk to business owners all the time, as you can imagine. You go into these conversations and you learn stuff like that. Like I have no idea. Like
Oh yeah.
who the hell is manufacturing lacrosse helmets?
I mean, it's the stuff I've learned and now the things that I look at and inspect on all different levels. It's very not difficult, but it's just like it brings a different level of.
No one thought that you think that much into it.
Exactly. Yeah, it brings a different level of distraction.
You're like, dude, how do you know that much about a freaking helmet and decals?
Yeah. So going back to your football thing, I believe it's Guardian. They have the padded shells, and they're we just wrapped up templates for them. So now we can print team logos on the outside. So instead of it just being a solid navy, you know, padded shell that's going to go over a decaled helmet, we can have the same look on the padded shells that will basically what they're covering up. They're going to have on the outside, so it'll still look cohesive on the screen, and no one will really be able to tell that.
Unless you're up super close.
Yeah. So it's
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it took some time to get the templating right, but I'm pretty happy with what we came up with, and I think it'll be popular. As of now, a lot of teams just use them at the practice level, but you know, once the NFL starts using them in games, I think everything trickles down, and we'll see it more commonplace at the college level soon.
Yeah, I think you're going to continue to explode. I think you're a guy that doesn't want to stop. I think you have that big farm in mind for your family and more acreage, and that's what it's all about, man. I mean, at the end of the day, sometimes when I'm annoyed with my family, I'm annoyed with my family because I'm tired, but I'm doing all this for them. Mm-hmm. I'm like, well, maybe I should just live simple. I'll just go get a small ranch in an inexpensive town. And then I'm like, that's not what I want for my family. I want the best for me and for them. And it's a rat race at times, but it's
fun.
Yeah, it is fun. It's a lot of fun to figure it out.
The challenge, exactly. Yeah, there's new challenges every time, and I think that's a lot of, you know, the driving, not the main driving factor, obviously, you know, providing for them and getting, I mean, they're all happy where we are right now.
Exactly.
They don't
Kids don't need much.
We don't have I was telling before, we have, you know, a medium-sized home, but every day the boys are like, the house is so big. I'm like, I look around, I'm like, really, I feel like it's pretty small, but but it's just like a perspective, you know. I mean, it's what they know, and to them it's a big home, and so it's cool to just like take a step back at times and hear different perspectives, especially coming from them. Yeah,
I go back and forth so much, man. Yeah. Like, you go for something smaller in an inexpensive town. Should you do this, do that? Do you need this space? But wherever we do land, I know that we're going to try to give them the best memories, and that's what it's all about, and that's why we grind.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I have like a new segment I introduced.
Yeah.
In Fireside, because I think with business ownership, politics, cross that. And again, I'm not a politician. I'm not somebody who has studied a lot of these things like a Tucker Carlson or someone who's on Fox News or CNN. But I do think as business owners, parents, Americans, we're feeling this, right? As a business owner, we're feeling inflation. I'm sure you've seen your costs go through the roof. I know
crazy.
my cost. I threw this event last year. I think the total cost was $76,000. It was $108,000.
It's crazy.
Like the one venue was like $2,600. It was $7,500 this year, and they were just like, "Dude, I'm getting smashed all over. Like this is our prices."
Yeah.
And there's like nothing you can argue. A volatile stock market leaves people insecure. You have, again, going back to inflation, just consumers, right?
Yeah.
The cost of milk, food, cheese, eggs. You brought over some delicious eggs I'm going to eat tomorrow morning from your chickens, but majority of people don't have chickens, right?
Right.
And they burned down a lot of chicken farms, it seems.
So that's our goal, or my goal, anyways, is to be enemy number one of the state and be completely self-reliant.
Yeah.
Not I don't need. We won't
Isn't
need
that
to
weird
go to
that
the
they
store.
wouldn't want you to be self-reliant?
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy.
No gas stoves.
No.
That'd be electric. So if I turn off your electric, no chickens.
No.
They were literally trying to come out with some laws against people having
Everything.
chickens.
Yeah. You can't.
What is?
In some states, you can't collect rainwater.
But like, what would be like? Just stay on chickens for a second. Like, what's wrong with having chickens? Like, what is?
So
I'm sure there's a sanitary side of it.
Yes.
In certain areas.
So that's. It's to me, it's just like I disagree with it, but everything has to be done in moderation. Like you look at like a crazy cat lady who has 30 cats in the house, smells like piss from a mile away.
And they're all not eating enough. And
that's or they all start eating her in the end because she can't feed them all. And that's the. I understand like things are always taken to an extreme, and that's why certain things have to be put in place. But then those things are put in place to an extreme, and it's like, well, let's find a happy medium, which says like, if things get out of hand, someone can step in and try and right the ship, but don't ruin it for the rest of us who can do things responsibly.
The narrative that goes on out there, like, dude, it's so hard to decipher what the hell is real and what's not.
Yeah.
But I do know for a fact that there was a random burning down and fireworks and all types of shit going on in large chicken factories over the last 2 years.
There was a huge one in Connecticut a few months back.
And it's still, and again, it's still going on. It's not as it's tampered down. However,
there's other things in the media that are taking the attention now.
Yeah.
It's always something.
Yeah.
It was train derailments, and then
that was another weird one.
Cattle farms, and then chicken farms, and
those cows. How many cows died overnight like that? Boom.
that was crazy.
What was it? And they tried to blame it on some absolute stupid reason, which is completely.
Well, then there's other cases too where there's some disease or something that they have, and now they have to kill, some 100,000
And
livestock.
that does happen.
It does.
Yeah, this was like something else though. It wasn't even that. It was like, so just weird shit going on, and as business owners, you see these things because we're some people who try to forecast and see the problems that ahead and be 5 steps ahead and have solutions for those problems that are coming. Right? It's a SWOT analysis. We do that inside the pit. It's part of the curriculum.
Right.
Like, hey, what are my problems? What are some of my competitors that are coming at me? What are some issues I can run into? What if the market does tank and drops 50%? What if we do go to World War III? As business owners, especially as you scale up, those questions become more and more real.
Absolutely.
And you see things, we talked about earlier, things going on in the school. A lot of crazy stuff. We have Israel and Palestine. I have no idea what to think, dude. I think it's horrible that 40,000 people dead over there in Palestine, and 17,000 of them are kids.
I think it's an awful situation that is, higher ups that can't figure their things out, and they're, in turn, innocent people are dying because of just their greed.
And think about the money we're sending over there. And I don't think it's okay all those people died. I don't think it's okay whatever's going on with Israel and people who were terrorized and lost their lives.
Right.
Like, America is fucking broke. Our bridges are falling down. Our roads are fucking terrible.
I heard something a few months back, and it was the amount of money that's been sent to Ukraine prior to, I forget who it was, but they said they could fix our homeless problem in the country with, $50 whatever. I
I
think,
can do that easily.
and it was like 3 times that of
Yep.
what they've sent to Ukraine. It's like, so we could have fixed our problems here 3 times over and have our country in a better position, but instead we're just laundering money elsewhere.
What about infrastructure?
Yeah,
You're a
that's it,
business
yeah.
owner, right?
Yeah.
So I have a partnership with Roadley Logistics where some of my clients and relationships do business with them at a discounted rate through me. And, think about it, you're dealing with trucks.
Yeah.
Trucks got to get places. That bridge was hit with a barge, and that was a weird situation. It seems like it steered right into it. But, like,
Looked that
I
way.
felt like that bridge should have been to be able to withstand that. It wasn't doing, a large mile an hour. It was
typically they have those like the impact barriers and ahead of time to absorb some and move it off.
and it's an older bridge, so it
Yeah,
probably
yeah,
didn't
I
have
get it,
that
yeah.
design.
Right.
But you just, infrastructure is important to business.
Yeah.
That's what helped kind of grow this country, putting railways and
Absolutely, yeah.
roads and even overseas, right? The Straits of Hormuz and
Right.
being able to get cargo in and out of other countries and
Well, how
trade.
long was that? Was it the Panama Canal? Is that what it was?
Yeah,
Where
we
that cargo ship
designed,
was?
paid for, and gave it to them.
Yeah. But
Idiots.
wasn't there a cargo ship stuck in there for?
Yeah, it was. I
Yeah.
forget what the dollar amount was to get that thing out, and no one could do it for
No,
right.
it was
a
a long
A
time.
while.
Yeah.
It's wild. We have to spend money on these things, and instead, I forget the total number that Dish has proved. Someone will probably fact check me, but it was either 65 or 95 billion, and there was a couple other things in that package, but that went through with the Ukraine bill. So more spending, and we're unloading weapons.
But it's called the infrastructure bill, right?
Yeah, I think they called it the infrastructure bill. Yeah,
But it's a small portion that's actually
it's
going to
infrastructure
Everything
bill
else is-
for.
right these other countries.
Ukraine.
Yeah.
It's just it's something that's frustrating. How does that make you feel?
Very, very frustrated. As someone who loves this country and, very proud to be American, it's difficult to see politicians wrap up, their agendas in these bills and pass them on as something that's helping our country. And people who don't look into it further, they're like, oh, infrastructure bill, awesome. My roads suck. That's great. Glad they're finally fixing it.
Yeah.
But really, a small portion is coming back to help that, and it's something that no one will ever see.
It almost feels like they're trying to purposely tear down America, and it's crazy. Someone the other day was like, "Watch this podcast," and I think the guy's name was Scott. It was on Rogan, and they're talking about the moon landing. And this guy, I think, was like a NASA investigator. He felt he was betrayed and lied to, and then went and did a ton of investigating. And he's got factual information after factual information, and how they found these aftertakes, and it was all a setup, and they didn't really get to the moon, and how they shot the stuff, and all of this other data. Again, go watch it; it's really interesting. And to Joe Rogan's credit, he played steelman the whole time. He was challenging every step of the guy's way, and the guy had factual answers, documentation. Go here, go there, and I'm just like, is everything we've been told a fucking lie? And it's hard sometimes because you're like, man, I really love this country, but are we participating in genocide over there? And again, I'm not saying that Hamas is right. I'm not saying Israel's wrong. I literally don't put me in that circle. But if we're supporting that, we're funding that,
there have been numerous, objectives or missions, over in different countries that the U.S. has funded and U.S. has done.
Just like it's done to us here.
Oh, yeah, where it's, hey, we're going to take out this government because we're going to put this one in place because they're going to do better for you.
Yep, more democracy.
In
the name of democracy.
Right. And it's just now, I guess maybe having my eyes open to it more, just being an adult or whatever, just paying more attention.
We have kids.
Seeing now why, all right, I get why other countries hate us because we can't just keep our hands to ourselves. We have to go and dip into everything else, which...
And again, they have that perch.
Yeah, oh,
we're not on it, right? So
absolutely.
we don't know the complexities that go on out there, and it's
that's true.
Super complex, and crazy shit goes on in the world, and there's really bad people, and you don't know who you got to pay off to have peace, and I mean, who knows? But it just seems that everything we've been told we're lied to. I've never been a huge conspiracy person, and over the last 5-6 years, my buddies got me look deeper into 9/11, and I talked about that the last podcast, and that's a sensitive one because you have a lot of
Absolutely.
veterans that went over and fought for this country.
Absolutely. I mean, there's a lot of people who lost their lives, who lost loved ones on that day, and it's a very sensitive.
It's a sensitive topic, but it's like, are we going to talk truth or sensitive? Like,
Right.
who did that? You know,
Right.
where was our
allowed it?
government
Yeah.
involved?
Yeah.
Like what goes on with this stuff? And then we're trying to have faith, but the crazy part is that the governments of the world are this, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then there's the people of the country. And the people of the country in the United States are some of the most loving, prideful, giving, hardened
Yeah.
citizens in the world.
Absolutely.
And that pride bleeds through in you and me and plenty of other people out there that have gone, what the fuck is going on? That is not, our government is not a representation of the people. So we have, owners sitting here. No one sees owner on the other side. Owner's Muslim. He's Turkish. His whole family's from Turkey. He's got many, obviously, family that are Muslim. There's not much that him and I think differently about at all.
And that's a huge narrative, I think, that's pushed, that every race in this country is different and thinks differently, and we can't get along, but yet we do.
But we all get along.
We do.
We're just watching the news, and the government's telling us bullshit.
And I think it's a huge divisive tactic that is used to maintain control, because if all of us were to be on the same page with things, and even people who are left and right of the aisle still see eye to eye on most things, and we'll both
kids still
agree.
go to school together. They still get a coffee together in the morning. They still are at the park together.
Yeah, and in the end, like, keeping everyone in their, far left, right, far right,
that's how the
keeping everyone in their
government
own lanes rather than just as one group of Americans, it allows for
Well,
so
think about
much
how we
more
come back
control.
into the election. Last year was BLM, right? All white people are racist in the country.
Everyone.
That is so insulting to me. Like, it's so insulting because my kids don't know the difference between color. Like, they literally don't know that, he's Muslim, we're Christian, and they don't see color.
None of
And
it matters.
And don't get me wrong, I know race exists, but I think America is probably like the least racist country, but we blow this thing up.
Right.
BLM's funded all types of dirty, dark money. They cause fucking
Where
chaos
did
throughout
that
the
money
country.
go in the end?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. All that shit is chaos.
Yeah.
It plays with an election, and now we're rolling into another election, and you have this shit going on campus. And again, those people are supposedly there protesting Palestine and the genocide. But they're going and interviewing these people, and some people are like, I don't really know why we're here. We don't know what we're about. We're just here, or we're paid to be here.
Right.
Paid agitators, and again, that rolls back to the government. But that's not a representation of the people.
It's not, no. But unfortunately, it's how the rest of the world perceives it, as our policies and our politicians. But yeah, I mean, the people of this country they're, like you said, they're hardworking,
best.
they're loving, we care for each other. I mean, I don't live in a neighborhood. I live on a very busy road, and yet, we have wonderful neighbors. We have neighbors on both sides of us whose kids, I think, went to high school around the same time as my wife, and it's like, but yet they love the kids, our kids. We have a great time together, and it's just like it's a different. There's more of that happens than it doesn't.
A lot more,
and it doesn't. The
You're in
good news, the good news
you
doesn't
run into
get
8
the media,
couples here.
Yeah, it's always the bad news, the fear mongering. That's what makes the news. The good stuff does not, and I think there needs to be more of it shared. That's for sure.
Yeah, I think it's a distraction for business owners, but like we got to start like coming together. Some leaders got to like stand up. Like, just because I rock a MAGA hat, dude, don't hate me. Don't be triggered.
Yeah.
Like, if you're a little triggered by Orange Man bad, like let's have a conversation. Don't just put me in a box.
Right.
And I should be doing the same. If your hair is blue,
Right.
and you're wearing a he she pin, doesn't mean that we can't find some common ground.
Yeah.
And it's hard to do. And there's some morals and ethics that I won't cross, and you're allowed to have that. It's your country.
There's different values that we have as Christians or whatever, and as parents that we instill in our children that we have to hold.
We stand by it.
We've got to stand to it. Yeah.
So rolling towards the end. I got 2 questions I like
Okay.
to ask all the guests. So the first question is there anybody, and you can name a couple, other business owners that have been good to you? We mentioned your wife and how great she's been.
Yeah.
Is there anybody else you want to give some love and a shout out to?
So there's one guy. He's a good buddy of mine. His name Eric Emerson of E Squared IT. He's up in Huntington with me. I met him in that other networking group I was talking about. Before when we were talking about being a student of the game, like this guy is just constantly learning stuff and sharing it. And, just like when you think you have something figured out, like I'll bring him an idea and he spells out like the next 5 steps. I'm like, cool. All right. I thought I had something to share with you this time, but now like you're teaching me once again.
What does he do?
So he runs IT. He has an IT business.
It's IT.
But like not like fixing computers, but like coming in and kind of replacing like the IT guy who sleeps behind the desk and doesn't really do much.
Yep.
And works with companies, from 20 members up to
Communication,
200.
Wi-Fi,
Yeah,
network,
everything. Runs the networking, controls security, all that stuff for computers and everything, all the communications. He's, great at what he does, but yeah, he's a huge part, which was, kind of going back to earlier what I said of probably the last like 3 to 4 years, which is when I joined that group, met him. I really started taking things more serious. Before it was just like I was in business and that was cool, and now it's, I'm in business for a reason now.
You have some purpose.
Yeah, and and it's business is not just you open the doors every day and you take orders. Like there's reasons why those orders are coming in. There's reasons why people find you. There's reasons of creating a process to make sure
details
that
matter.
Exactly. Yeah, and he's
Live with intent.
He's helped with a lot of it. That's for sure.
Customer journey, like Rob was talking about.
That's huge. Yeah, I mean that was eye opening for myself and something that I'm taking more notes of and being more conscious of taking content of myself of. It happens so sporadically throughout the day or week that it's difficult to have a team on site. So just reminding myself of walking by and be like, oh, you guys are working on something pretty cool. Let me just record that and see what we can turn it into. But
absolutely.
Yeah, he's been a big thing.
Second question.
Yeah.
So if you would give any young entrepreneur, small business owner, or career changer, one thing you would tell them in regards to getting going in business?
Don't be afraid to fail. That's, again, we were talking about before of failing is only a negative if you allow it to be. There's so many lessons to learn.
You told us earlier,
Yeah.
situation where you wanted to go in and you wanted to build a good relationship with these people, and you walk in and there's somebody that that's in your line of work and he already has the account. So you're not going to step on his toes, but you went and did a bunch of work for it and bought some sandwiches and did some of the prospecting things that we have to do sometimes, and you learned. You thought like, hey, maybe I should have a backup plan if I go out and I'm spending this money and spending this time and energy.
Yeah.
We can learn from all of our failures.
That's it, and not just learn from them, but learn to not to repeat that. Don't make the same mistake twice, and if you do, make sure you fucking learn it the second time.
Correct it.
There's no reason to redo the same thing over and over again. At that point, you're just sabotaging yourself. And
fear's a good one, man. Like the fear of failure is so real. Dude.
Absolutely.
It's like this wall. I tell people all the time, you have to get off of what keeps you anchored here and get so connected to what excites you. Like, dude, I'll be flat out honest, man. Like, my mortgage payment's $4,200.
Yeah.
My next mortgage payment is going to be $10,500.
That's crazy.
More than double my mortgage payment. And like, yes, I believe in myself. And yes, I'm in abundance, but you never know what could happen. Like that's scary. So I could have just stayed over here. What anchors me of that fear, security, safety. I'm grateful. Shit, you see my yard, my house.
Oh yeah, it's beautiful.
It's a great place, but it's just not what we really want. Or do I get more excited about where I'm going? That gets me past the fear. So as I get past this halfway line, boom. Once I'm on that side of the line, I'm going for it.
I mean, the thing is, we can create our own hurdles or roadblocks with fear all day long, but as soon as you overcome one, you're going to make the next roadblock like, well, sure I did this, but now now there's fear of doing that.
I did this once. I did this twice. I did this 3 times.
It starts compounding, and next thing you know, like there's nothing that's holding you back, and you're just knocking down walls left and right.
I say this all the time, so this is more for maybe people who watch that you share this with in your ecosystem. Like, walk through the exercise.
Yeah.
So if you're thinking about going down the road of a business, go look at the rent. Go talk to the landlord. Go, figure out what the cost would be. Like, go walk through that exercise, and all of a sudden, you may get halfway through and be like, this is not as bad as I thought it was. And guess what? Uncle Tony's in on it now because he had interest. Or another buddy you shared the idea with is in, and he wants to put up $100,000. Like, this shit happens every single day. But if we just sit here and think about it and sit in a paranoid state, and this paralysis from the fear, and we never take action, nothing's ever going to come to fruition for you.
Do not get paralysis by analysis, right? It's good to know your numbers and know your shit, but at the same time, don't let that hold you back because
Correct.
I think I've heard you say it before, things are gonna happen. The good things are gonna come to you, and like right now we're in a little bit of slower time. March was a slow time, carried into April a little bit, but we know, like I know the trajectory and the normal seasonal highs and lows of things, and things are in the pipeline, things work, and sure things might be slow at one point, but
don't sit in the scared, paranoid state.
And that's it. And I've done it before, and I'm sure I'll do it again at some point, but you fall into these holes, you're like, well, shit, don't have any work today, nothing's coming in, what am I going to do? And you just kind of sit there and you think all day of what should you do rather than getting off your ass and actually doing something.
Correct.
And that's even if it's baby steps. If you're crawling, if you're moving 1 inch at a time, you're moving, and you're moving towards something. You're making progress, and that's
just keep showing up, man.
Yeah, that's it.
Just keep going.
Even on the days you don't want to. There's plenty of days of that where that happens, but you show up, it turns into a habit of no matter what happens, you're gonna figure out a way to figure.
I feel guilty when I sit around.
Yeah.
I know that maybe that's bad, but I told you
I
can't sit around. But dude, this has been a great conversation.
Yeah, thank you.
You're a good
appreciate
dude.
it.
I hope this reaches people in my ecosystem.
Yeah.
And get you guys some additional business.
I appreciate it. I will start building my ecosystem per your advice there.
Yeah, dude, you got to get on the content more, man.
Yeah.
You have to. We'll use this as a launch pad.
Absolutely.
All right. Appreciate you, Justin.
Thank you.
Thank you.